Of the many different types of anime there are in the world, the one that I find the most confounding is the sword and sorcery anime. When you break down the basic elements of the sword and sorcery subgenre, you find that most, if not all of its tropes and touchstones have a decidedly Western aesthetic and historical viewpoint. Everything from the weapons, names, beasts, and attire can be linked to at least a romanticized view of European history. And from this unmistakably Occidental origin comes tales that are from the complete opposite end of the world. Unlike our own culture, the Japanese have little to no direct cultural ties with Europe as a means of sharing an established canon of fantasy tropes, though that has not stopped them from dipping their collective toe in the waters of European-inspired fantasy. In fact, one of my favorite anime of all time, Berserk, shares almost no similarity to anything Japanese at all, save for Griffith's pretty boy looks. I suppose when your culture reaches around the entire Earth, inspiration and influence can be avoided for only so long. Unfortunately, Berserk is the exception to the rule of Sturgeon's Law in this case, as most sword and sorcery anime is boilerplate dull and otherwise by the numbers. In fact, if it weren't for the sheer amount of breasts in Legend of Lemnir, it might be the most forgettable anime I've ever talked about. So what does this mean for Amon Saga? Yet another sword and sorcery anime that borrows heavily from the stockpiles of fantasy tropes accumulated from everyone's teenage D&D campaign? Well, I can tell you what it doesn't mean. Good. Made smack dab in the middle of the OVA boom in the mid-80s, the most remarkable thing about Amon Saga is that it was released in the States in 2001, which baffles me because this has early 90s schlock title written all over it. I mean, even the title sounds weird. Amon Saga. Sounds like we're about to hear the epic tale of a nut. We know well enough that they can't all be zingers. Some of them have to be Amon Saga. At least it can be said that the anime puts us in the right mood by having a narrator phone it in.
He knows no treasure, he knows no fame. In search of his destiny, he travels on.
On to what? The narrator just kind of trails off here, never to have it pick up again, as it segues directly into the title credits, which seems oddly intent on showing this woman being hacked up over and over again. I think it's supposed to be important. Well, they've established it pretty early that they don't give a shit at all. So, if they're not gonna care, I sure as hell won't.
Yes, you will.
Yes, sir. We begin the story proper with our hero, Proto-Griffith, ordering a stiff drink and asking about joining the local warlord's battalion. Of course, such talk means he's opening himself up to being fucked around with by the other drunk bar patrons.
I'm just trying to be friendly.
Okay. I understand licking up the spilled drink in your hands, but also eating the broken glass? Do you also chop down trees by headbutting them? Not only does he eat the glass, then provoke a fight that enthralls the whole bar, but he shakes off having his head launched into solid concrete.
Hey, you! Look what you did! I'm gonna come
No,
over
you
there.
don't.
God. This guy is so stupidly manly, I bet even his sentences don't have periods. Even better, despite Blast Hardpeck here shrugging off having his head planted in cement, everyone in the bar thinks they can take a piece of him. Half of these guys can't even reach up to his shoulder, but look at them go! That 8-foot-tall giant just tossed that fully grown man halfway across the room. What a pussy. The fight is finally broken up when the previously mentioned warlord arrives on the scene on the back of a giant turtle. Not exactly a menacing floating death fortress, is it? Further, it seems that the warlord has sent his commander to rouse a few of these violent thugs into possible service.
As you all know, we're looking for a few new recruits to serve as soldiers in the Valhis army.
Also, when I'm talking to a large group of strangers, I must pose like I'm trying to use the Force.
Here's how it works. Rope ladders will be hung from 9 locations. Each ladder will be cut down after one man has finished climbing it. Consider every man your enemy.
So you're trying to cull your possible recruits by having them kill each other over a stupid ladder test. Wasn't that the method they used in Robot Jocks? Learn from the best, I see. Also, why would he only need 9 recruits and a freaking army? Does the warlord have OCD? He can't march into battle unless he has exactly 1,000 soldiers and a brandy glass? All I'm saying is, don't be surprised if a trip to a Sri Lankan sweet shop is in the future. Being in this dude's army must be a really sweet deal because everyone is killing themselves to be one of these 9 recruits, including Griffith and Roll Sizzlebeef.
But if you insist, I wouldn't mind you buying me a glass of snake bone brew when we finally get to Valhis.
Again, these assholes are throwing their lives away by launching themselves at Slab Bulkhead here. And look at this guy, he has to be in his late 50s, and he thought he could take him on? The Goombas from Super Mario Bros. Were less suicidal, and they marched themselves over a cliff. Anywho's, Griffith manages to be the 9th man to pass the test, but it seems that they're all joining the wrong side.
It is clear to me now that we have no choice but to fight Valhis head on. We must leave at once.
But, sir,
The Emperor's aim is to find the Valley of Gold, and you know what will become of Grunmal should he succeed.
Yes, but sir, what about the safety of Princess Lycia?
Lycia.
Lady Death.
Ugh, God. Must you talk about your own daughter like Homer Simpson talks about donuts? Yes, it seems that the Emperor has kidnapped this lord's daughter, ransoming the location of the Valley of Gold for her return. However, should he lay his hands on the valley, it would spell doom for the entire world. How? Deflation? So he would have a shit ton of gold. Why does that matter? Yeah, he'd be rich, but everyone's acting like he'd be given the history eraser button. Additionally, what would he do with all that gold? Burn his name onto the surface of Mars?
But sir, if we make a wrong move now, Princess Lycia will be... I can't even bear to say it.
Why do they have glass windows underwater? And why would they have a room underwater in a freaking wooden ship?
What? What would they dare do to Lycia?
And where the fuck is all that water that was there just a second ago? Seems my questions will have to go unanswered because we cut back to Griffith having nightmares about his tragic past. Seems his mother was killed at the hands of this warlord's army, and he wants revenge. But if I were him, I'd be more angry at my mother for doing this. I know what she was trying to do, but why does she have to throw her own child away like a used Arby's wrapper? Fuck off, baby! Not only that, but how is this exactly protecting him? She threw him to her side in a single-room house. Did she expect these shock troopers to be the laziest sons of bitches this side of Sergeant Schultz?
Oh, I see nothing. I was not here. I did not even get up this morning.
So, after waking up from that nightmare, Griffith proceeds to sneak around the warlord's castle for some reason. But look! A guard is suspicious.
Hey, did you hear something?
Oh, it's probably just another one of those owl cats.
An owl cat? Wait. No!
You mean platypus bear?
I said no!
Certainly you mean his pet skunk bear.
Keep this up, fucktards! I can last as long as you can!
Or his armadillo bear?
You are not getting this! What?
Gopher bear?
Ah! What now?
This place is weird.
Seems Griffith was trying to spy on the Emperor Darkseid here, who is in the middle of taking his monthly Kool-Aid bath, but his presence is made aware of and the chase is on. All this ruckus wakes up the captured princess, and holy hell, her hair is ridiculous! The back of her head looks like Zoidberg's face! I'm a woman's hairpiece now! Finally, my papa will be proud!
An intruder has entered the tower. We need to search every room.
If you got that reference, then you coup. Seems like it's love at first sight for Griffith, as he gives the guards the slip and the next day finds them ghosting on the princess while she bathes in a nearby lake. That just so happens to be the most schizophrenic lake I've ever seen. One moment it's about waist deep, but the next moment it's as deep as an ocean. It's even worse when a monster comes out from the depths and attacks her, revealing itself to be at least 50 times her size. Look at it! It's the size of a Gyarados, and it's diving at least 4 times its length. What's the depth of this lake? 3 feet? Or 30 fathoms?
It's a...
I'm sorry, it's a what?
It's a...
So it's a straw. God, this creature has more A's than the Oakland A's. With a better home field, too. The Gyarados here proves to be a tough cookie, and even Griffith has trouble putting it down. Who can stop this ferocious ichthyoid beast? Was that a fucking Navi? What the hell is going on? This guy just appears from out of the thicket to save Griffith's bacon, and then back into the woods he came! Thanks, Deus Ex Machina Sasquatch! This fucking guy is the most baffling thing about this anime. It periodically cuts to him doing fuck all, and then he never addresses his existence again, just for him to make the save, only to disappear again! Who the fuck is this guy? Those answers must wait till never, it seems, as we cut from that pointless scene to the Lord's messenger giving Darkseid's lieutenant the map to the Valley of Gold. But it looks like he never heard the phrase, "Don't kill the messenger," because he kills the messenger, by throwing him into the Rancor pit. Spurred on by the sight of the messenger's death, Griffith decides now is the night that Darkseid dies.
Who's there?
I've come to avenge my mother's death.
And how do you intend to do that?
How? By killing you.
God, Griffith, you've been planning this guy's murder for how long again? And that's the best one-liner you can come up with? You deserve to have your ass drop down a convenient trap door. Called it! The dominoes begin to fall when it's revealed that one of the 9 recruits is actually an agent sent to rescue the princess, who is apparently a character in this anime. They manage to escape and meet up with Griffith, who managed to kill the Rancor and bust out of the pit, and they all fly out of the fortress with a waiting Butch deadlift. But their peace and security is only momentary because Calculon here bops in and abducts the princess during a werewolf attack. Do you really think me putting that into context would make any of this less confusing? At the very least, we do get to witness Calculon rip a werewolf's face off. Ow! But the awesome doesn't last for long as the 3 track the armor down to a group of bearded sorcerers that are sworn to the princess's lineage.
Many years ago, a wrecked land ship wandered into Vindarana. The only survivor of the wreck was a young man. At the time, our princess was very ill. Not even our magic could cure her. We had just about lost all hope of her recovering. But to our surprise, the young man was able to make her well again.
When I get that feeling, I want sexual healing, sexual healing.
That man was my father, Darai Sem. And the princess, my mother, Lichia.
Lichia?
Did she just teleport? What the hell were those 2 looking at while they were talking? See? She's looking straight ahead talking, cut to Griffith at a reverse shot, looking presumably back at her, but the next cut reveals that she's actually to the side of them and was actually talking to the blank space in front of them. Shotgun position, you fucks!
Valis and his men have headed for the Valley of Gold.
What?
That was a bad shot. The endgame fast approaches our heroes as it's become a race to stop Darkseid from entering the valley.
You will find a device that opens the gate.
Yes. Search.
Huh. So Amon Saga does have something in common with Cowboy Bebop. Now it's genius! The direction was pretty sketchy before, but here is where it reaches its total nadir as Griffith makes another run at trying to kill Darkseid. Honestly, try and tell me what the hell is happening in this shot. Write your answers down and send them in an envelope to Sente Studios, P.O. Box, fuck you, Kyoto, Japan, fuck you. Actually, if you look up the studio behind Amon Saga, you'll find that they only worked on 2 other anime titles. And both are porn. If you're surprised by this, then might I suggest you avoid the stock market. Things take a turn for the worse when Darkseid's men find the switch to open the gates, and his Raven Wizard puts Griffith under an illusory pastel-colored spell. He manages to break out of it, just in time for the 3 sorcerers to engage the wizard in a laughably awful battle of spells. Oh god, this is embarrassing. What kind of dirt did Toei have on Manga Entertainment in order for them to release this in 2001? Because I gotta imagine it had to involve a horse. Griffith tries yet again to put the hurt on Darkseid, but he's still no match for him.
Die!
Again with the frickin' Na'vi! Where did this asshole come from? He wasn't with them at the beginning of the fight, so was he just here waiting for them inside the valley? But the gates were closed, so he wouldn't have been able to enter without leaving the doors open. I swear, this character is like the glitch in the Matrix. And just like a gamer to exploit a glitch, Griffith uses this opening to take a swipe and reveal that Darkseid is actually meat from Mortal Kombat. And this can only mean that our heroes are turning the tide. The sorcerers kill the Raven Wizard, the spy kills the lieutenant by impaling his throat with his whip, figure that one out, and Griffith javelins his sword through Darkseid's fucking head. And the day is saved. Oh, and he leaves the princess's ass behind, because, you know, baller and shit.
Thanks, Ho. I owe you.
Don't mention it, friend.
Well, my mistake. This 2-sentence exchange completely explains this living Deus Ex Machina. Fuck, this is a crappy anime! Of all the things it does right, keeping the story simple and having at least a few likable characters, the end result is a humiliating 75 minutes of pointless scenes, sloppy direction, and sleepwalking character progression. There was a scene where Griffith flashed back to his time spent learning swordplay just to establish that he had a master who looked like Vampire Hunter D. Could you tell that the same guy did the art for both, by the way? Still, they never revisit this character. He only appears for, at best, a minute of screen time, and he disappears like so much light from the story. That, in of itself, is how this anime is presented and told. I'm not going to say that Amon Saga is absolutely terrible, because there's at least enough funny bad moments for the sit to be at least somewhat bearable, but this was not an anime that needed to be resurrected in the 21st century. Anyway, onward and upward with a title that ADV dubbed Essential. Super Atragon. Till next time. Long live your Lord High Regent Sage! Long live Benetopia!